Hey, hey, hey. Welcome to the Rundown with Ramon, a special edition of the Rundown with Ramon. We're going to focus on AI, generative AI, artificial intelligence. By the way, normally we have the top 10 things you need to know to live your best life or start to grow your business. My name is Ramon Ray, publisher of Zone of Genius.com, and you are in for a treat today as we walk through some elements of generative AI. AI has been all in the news. You've heard about it a lot. And I talked to my friend Christopher Penn, who's an expert in AI, about what this means for you and your business. We're here at a conference when he's going to talk about some of these things. So let's listen in. I'm going to pause this as we're going along and jump in. And as he unpacks some of the things about generative AI, again, this is Christopher Penn, and I want you to hear from him and hear what he has to say. Let's start it.
I am well, sir. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Those who don't know who you are, even though you are a staple in many of my circles, tell the person who has no clue who you are and doesn't even care, who's Christopher Penn, and a little bit about your body of work.
Sure. So my name is Christopher Penn. I'm the co-founder and chief data scientist of TrustInsights.ai, a management consulting firm that helps companies do more with data, analytics, and these days, mostly AI. Like literally that's been, I've been studying this stuff for 10 years, but in the last
Note that AI has been around a long time. Many of us think it just kind of launched with ChatGPT and other platforms, but it's been around for a while. Keep listening.
But AI wasn't around. It only came out. AI was only around. It only invented a year and a half ago, man.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
But that's a good point. For those who are thinking the AI was just around, a year and a half ago, tell us what was around and why there was this big boop. So a year and a half ago.
AI has been around in some fashion since the 1950s.
Since the 1950s. Who knew that AI was around this long? Since the 1950s. Keep listening. This is going to be a great history lesson for you today with Christopher Penn.
Okay. That is when many of today's actual implementations were first theorized by researchers and scientists. It is only that we've had these seasons of AI summer and AI winter over the decades. The last time we had a sort of a big summer was in the 90s when we started looking at knowledge systems. And then what has happened in the last 10 years is that all of these devices we have keep getting exponentially more powerful.
So you're getting that. It's a lot about, you have the high-end computational things with the computers that you need a lot of computing power, but I think is going into the devices, the power's gotten more and more and more with the devices many of us are carrying around in our pockets and our back pockets and our purses and bags and etc. Let's keep listening.
In terms of processing capability, and now we have the ability to run previously computationally limiting issues now can be run on like your laptop. 2017 rolls around, Google invents this model, this architecture called transformers. Nothing to do with the cool 80s toys. And what this model does is allows you to predict the next thing in a sequence. It's called tokens, token prediction. But what's unique about it is it takes into account everything that's been predicted already and what has been trained on. And so when
this is beyond, just I get it, this is beyond like ones and numbers. It could predict even cat, dog, ice cream, anything.
Tokens
like
are fragments of data. So it can be words. It can be pieces of any musical sequence. It can be parts of genetic code.
Got it. Continue.
Right?
Okay, go ahead.
And so this Transformers architecture came out in 2017.
And again, that's Google's transformer architecture out in 2017. Keep listening.
And companies, one of which is called OpenAI, started messing around with it. In 2020, the last time I was at Social Media Marketing World, and I was wearing one of these back then, and people were like, why are you wearing that? Here we are 4 years later. They started releasing models. One was called GPT-2 back in the day, and you could download it for free, play with it, and see what it did.
People like you were doing that. I was no clue, didn't even know, never heard of it. Go ahead.
About a year later, Yolothra AI released a model called GPT-J6B, which was the first one that could write coherently without a lot of extra work.
I see.
And then, of course, in November of 2022, OpenAI releases GPT 3.5 Turbo and a web interface to it called ChatGPT.
So the web interface, it appears, that's what kicked things off. Before, I guess it was maybe the download, a little geekish, maybe. I didn't download it, but then the web interface made it that everybody could just check it out and start typing questions and getting pretty accurate answers back. So we're getting into the history of ChatGPT and other tools that we know today as Christopher Penn of Trust Insights walks us through that. Let's keep going.
And suddenly, everyone in the world is an AI expert because they can write a prompt now, as opposed to what you had to do previously, which was, quantize the model, run it, put it in a Python script, and now it's like, just chat with it, have a conversation with it, and things come out. So that's really been the evolution of this stuff. And then what's really crazy is over the last 2 years, the speed at which new models are released and the capabilities of those models is off the charts. So the old GPT-2 model had a context window, which is how much it could remember, of 1,024 tokens. A token's like a 3 or 4 letter word fragment, so it could realistically remember 700 words.
Okay.
700 words. Now look what we have today, where you have interfaces like Claude that you can upload entire manuscripts into them, and they can compute and deal with that. Woo, how technology has evolved. Let's keep listening.
Like a small chat.
This is not bad.
GPT 3.5, 2048, right? The first iteration of GPT-4, which is the paid version of ChatGPT, 8,192. Then OpenAI has released more and more, and so the current version, GPT-4 Turbo, can remember 128,000 tokens, or 90,000 words, right? So you could put a book in as a prompt, and that is your whole prompt, and it can remember that and work with it. Gemini, Google's model, just announced version 1.5, which will be out a little later this year. 1 million token context windows. You could take a shelf full of books as your prompt, put the entire bookshelf in, and say, let's make stuff with it. And
so it's interesting. I guess that's why NVIDIA, the chip company, is getting into AI, because it all takes the real-time memory, not the hard drive space that's on your computer and things stay, but this is real-time computational stuff available to all of us. I know it's getting a bit geeky, but I wanted to give you the background and understanding of where we're going, where we've been, where we're at right now with AI. Christopher Penn of Trust Insights is a great person who can help us do that. Let's keep listening. I hope this is good for you. By the way, my name is Ramon Ray. This is the Rundown with Ramon. If you're just joining, normally we have the top 10 things you need to know to live your best life or start or grow your business. Today we have a special edition talking about AI, generative AI. And I think sometimes it's interesting to go back to the history, go back to the why of things, so we can have a better understanding of what we're really using and why we're really using it. Let's keep listening. Check this out, and I hope it's useful for you. By the way, if you want to get in touch with me, you can hit me up on Instagram, Ramon Ray Smart Hustle, or RamonRay.com on other platforms. You can hit me out. Let's keep listening. Here we go.
So that's how fast these tools are evolving, how capable they are. And again, it's not just words. So these things are displaying semi-reasoning-like capabilities. They can infer things. They can guess things, because this is prediction. But they're being used now to do things that are sequential, but not necessarily language, like DNA. So just a month ago, 5 new classes of antibiotics were discovered by AI, because we loaded all the materials in that we knew about. We loaded in genomes, and we said, predict the next thing is likely to impact this sequence of RNA. And so now we have new tools against disease predicted by machines.
I don't even know what to ask anymore. I'm blown away. So, okay, let's do this.
And this is really happening. This got so deep in the conversation. I was like, wow, wow, wow. But the conversation gets even more interesting. Check this out.
Average business owner know. Then I want to get back to the geek, but I want to go now backwards. I'm a painter in Mississauga, Alaska. I know it's in Canada. But, wherever I am, what should that average basic small business owner know about what you just said?
So here's what the average business owner should know about generative AI.
Okay.
It is the world's smartest intern.
The world's smartest intern. Interesting perspective. I know where he's going, because I did the interview. Interns are amazing people. They're not CEOs. They're not leaders yet. They're in training. But the more you train them, the more you spend time with them, the better and better they get. And they learn what you want. They learn what to do. Maybe you were an intern at some point. So this is the gem. This is the issue with ChatGPT, generative AI, whether it's Google Bard or whatever. You train it to know how to work with you and what you want. Let's keep listening.
That is what it is. So if you think to yourself, how do I work with the world's smartest intern? They don't know anything about my business, right? But they're really smart. So what could I ask them? Would you say to a human intern, hey, write me a blog post about painting? No. Like, you gotta get terrible. But if you say, hey, I'm a small business. I got two full-timers plus a contract crew. We paint houses, and we specialize in covering up water damage.
For example, even maybe. For example, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead, though.
And you say, okay, and here's what I want to do. I want to write some content for my website about...
See, it's about the prompt. It's about teaching it how to work so it goes back to what you said, connects that to what it knows, and then makes better models, better outputs for it. Keep going.
Out how we fix water damage. The way we fix it is we clean it first, we deionize it, we spray it down, we hit it with some UVC light, and then we use kills to cover it up. And that's how we fix water damage. Write me a blog post about that. When you do that to a human or machine, you're going to get better output.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
You're just more specific. The one thing I say in my keynote talk on this is the more relevant words you use in your prompt, the better the performance.
The more relevant words you use in your prompt, the better performance. Use relevant words, explain things in simple English, and get better and better at it so the prompts can train the engine to know what outputs to give you to make it best for you. This is very powerful.
And there isn't really a limit. Like, you could put in pages of information about your business, and the more specific it is, the better off. I was just having drinks with my friend Judy in Tucson. She's a painter, and she was like, "Hey, I don't know how to market my paintings."
That's a great thing. How do I market my paintings? You put in information. He's going to talk about this, but this is the essence of how you use ChatGPT, talking to Christopher Penn of Trust Insights. This is how you do it. Hey, I have this problem. Here's what I am. Here's what I like. Other people do this, blah, 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 blah. And you help the computer, it is a computer, understand the context of what you're saying through good prompts. Keep listening.
So let's take a couple screenshots of your paintings, load them into the Gemini model.
Screenshots meaning the images.
The images themselves.
Okay, go ahead.
I said, let's take these in, put them into Gemini, and say, hey, here's some paintings that my friend Judy does. She's a painter, she's an artist, she's really talented. Who are the likely buyers of this style of painting?
Did you get that? Taking the image of the painting, put it into Gemini, which I think is from Google, I think it is, and the AI engine is going to spit back who people are who would most likely buy those paintings based on other information it has. I think that's where Christopher Penn is going. Let's keep listening. This is good information.
And it said, people like this, of this income bracket in this area and stuff like that. I said, great. I didn't know that, and now I do. Help me write a marketing plan to reach those people. And it gave me this thing, and I said, whoa, Judy's an independent painter, right? She didn't have budget. So how are we going to do this without budget? And it gave me, Instagram and stuff like that. I'm like, everybody's doing that. That's table's minimum, right? Give me some things that are not obvious about this. I said, well, what about virtual contests like?
And what he's doing as you're using these tools, he's asking it repetitive questions, not repetitive, but he's asking it questions over and over and over again to refine better how it works. This is what he's doing. This is what you should do as you're on here. You have the screen in front of you. You're asking a question. No, write it again, giving me the points like this. Write it again, refining this. Write it again, leaving out this. Write it again, adding this. This is the power of using ChatGPT, generative AI in your business. Asking the right questions, refining the answers, prompting it to give better and better results. This is good.
Like this, or collabs like this. Like, okay, that's useful. Judy can go and do that because it's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
But it's different.
You put parameters, guardrails in there.
You put guardrails, and you force it to think differently. Yes. And so, in the span of 20 minutes, and like one beer, she now has a marketing plan for her painting business as a single person painter that will hopefully help her.
For solo entrepreneurs, for freelancers, for those with small teams, using the power of ChatGPT can scale and take your business to a new level. It's powerful.
Earn income and be able to do her hobby full time.
I love it.
So if you're a business owner, that's a great example of you just talk to these things with a lot of detail, like they're a great intern.
Yes.
Tell me what I need to know.
I love it. Christopher, I want to go back to one thing to help me out here. Again, guys, I'm learning here from Christopher Penn. This is amazing. By the way, where can we find out about you? I know you have some blogs and things you do. Can you just tell us one more time how to find you,
Sure.
what we should know about you?
The two places to find me. One is my company's website, trustinsights.ai, and the second is my personal website, christopherspenn.com.
Great. And I'm a reader of his blog. So can you go back to the thing about the memory thing, 90,000 or the tokens?
Yes.
Versus you put that in there, but clearly it's getting information from billions and billions of stuff that somebody put in there. Can you help me understand the memory thing, the limit of 90,000, 100 versus gazillions it already has somewhere?
So you as a human being, you have short-term memory and long-term memory, right? You remember like what baby Ramon was like and the foods you liked as a kid, and you have short-term memory like I remember what I had for lunch.
Right.
You don't spend a whole lot of time remembering a lot of things in your short-term memory because you can't. Okay. Right? So some of it gets shunted into your long-term memory because emotional things like, I remember that date I had with that person back then, but you don't remember what you had for lunch 4 Sundays ago. Like, nope. I don't remember. whatever. That models work exactly the same way. They have a long-term memory which has been trained on all
That's
this
all
data
the
from the internet.
investments people put in there. Okay, got it.
And there's the short-term memory, what you're working with in the model at that time.
Okay. So how does the connection work? I put in a 2,000-page essay and say do stuff with it. Is there any connection then to what it's already learned? I just want a quick high-level education. I just want
in some way. So if so the way these things generate is they look at this massive library of probability and say, what in that massive library will help me predict the next words or phrases that I need to generate.
Based on what it's been trained on, based
on what's been massive library of probability. This is what it's all about. Probability in math and science and more.
Trained on. That's right.
Okay,
that's
good,
right.
Very good. Okay, one more thing, Christopher Penn. Again, thank you for your time today. Thanks for being with us. I appreciate it here. What about more advanced? What is the stuff you're saying, Ramon? Usually, I don't say this to people. You know, this will freak you the heck out. But because I like you, Ramon, I'll tell you. Or Ramon, here's what the big boys and girls are doing. You know, we got it for the small business. Basically, I'm hearing ask right questions and keep talking to it. I think is one message.
Yep.
What else should we know? Take us 10, 20 steps beyond, if it makes sense. Tell us something else.
I mean, I can tell you something really, really advanced.
Let's go.
So models have their memory is what we call latent space.
Okay.
And they have knowledge, but they don't have unlimited knowledge. They have what they've been trained on. So if you want an advanced technique, you first have a conversation with the model about what it currently knows, and then you make it argue with itself. You say, we're going to talk about social
Make the computer argue with itself. Woo, that is fancy.
media marketing. I want you to have two personalities. You're going to role play two different people. You're going to role play Ramon Ray, the most excited, enthusiastic social media marketer, right? And you're also going to role play Christopher Contrary. He is a stubborn jackass.
And as smart as can be.
And doesn't believe in this social media crap at all. It's just a fad.
Yeah.
Here's this company. Here's its strategy. Have Ramon and Christopher debate each other about what their marketing strategy will be. Because of the way the model's latent space works, it's going to, instead of coming up with a single point of view, it has to now diverge into two separate points of view, one for and one against, what gives it a much more rich vocabulary, bigger, more different, more unique ideas. And then once they're done arguing with each other, you have a moderator step in and say, okay, let's sum up this debate here and see where we landed.
Isn't it nice to get a diversification of ideas for your business?
If you use that more advanced technique, it's called tree of thought. It's something
okay.
It's something we teach.
Did you get that tree of thought?
In our course over at trustinsights.ai. If you do that, then you will get substantially better output. And I'll tell you how much better you'll get. I first, the other day, said, okay, models, let's have some fun. Let's try and predict the winners of the Super Bowl. Okay. Right? I gave it the NFL postseason stats and just said, try and predict it based on this. And all the models came up with an okay prediction. But then I said, okay, I'm going to have you role play Billy, the Kansas City broadcaster fan, and I'm going to have you play Bob, the 49ers fan. And Billy and Bob yell at each other, have a show, and they're going off like, oh, well, we got special teams, we got defense and stuff like that. And they're yelling back and forth, and then Betty Balance steps in as the moderator and say, okay, let's sum up our prediction. In the most advanced models, every model was within the 10 points of the final score.
Are you getting this? Are you getting this? How you can use the power of generative AI in your business. If you're just joining, my name is Ramon Ray, publisher of zoneofgenius.com. This is a special edition of the Rundown with Ramon. Normally, we ask for 30 minutes of your time to give you the top 10 things you need to live your best life or start to grow your business. Today, we're having an interview with Christopher Penn, Trust Insights, who's a guru of these things and more, AI and all these geeky things. And he's breaking down where AI was, where today, where it's going, and how we can use it. And this aspect of having AI tools kind of quote unquote argue with itself. Hey, going back to the example, if you're a painter, I'm a painter and I want a marketing plan, how I can morph my painting business to sell to wealthy families, but also make a scenario. If I'm in a neighborhood where there's not wealthy families, what can I do? Debate the pros and cons of these things and give me a better solution so I ultimately can make a great decision. This is how you can use AI to take your business and your family and et cetera, leveraging the power of AI to take it to the next level. Let's keep listening.
The models that did the best were GPT-4 and Gemini. Gemini picked Kansas City 27-25, and I think the final was Kansas City 25-21. Just by having this advanced technique in use with the right data and the right structure, it came up with the best conclusion that was very close to reality.
I love it. Last question, Christopher Penn. Again, thank you for your time being with us today. You have time?
I got tons of time.
That's right. I want to make sure. So last question. human replacement, humans being replaced, interns not needed.
Great question we're getting into. Is AI a problem for humans? Now, remember, we've had this before with the horses and cars. No, we don't need any cars and, horses. We had this before with all the kind of technology, people talking about replacing humans, and as society evolves. It's a great question, but I'm telling you right now, AI is out of the bag and it's not going back. AI is going to be constantly used more and more and more. So get with it, people. Let's listen in.
The whole aspect, again, you already know better than me what I'm trying to ask. This whole aspect of what will replace humans or not from McDonald's, and again, I know I'm stuffing a lot in here, but from the cashier at McDonald's, we don't need you in 10 years or 5 years or now. Two, we don't need the travel agent to tell us how to go to Taiwan and Africa. We can ask a ChatGPT. You get what I'm trying to ask? Can you break down this conundrum? Is it true, false? Does it depend on humans not needed or humans are needed? Break that down.
It depends.
Okay.
So, and that is the answer to any of these questions about how jobs are going to be affected.
Okay. Yeah, jobs.
AI takes tasks,
okay,
and it's very capable of very specific tasks. A job is a collection of tasks.
Okay.
So the question you have to ask is, what tasks of mine do I do in my work that are highly repetitive?
Mm-hmm.
What tasks of mine are highly repetitive? Note that. And
right, if it is highly repetitive, AI will eat it at some point.
If you're doing a job that's highly repetitive, boop, 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 understand AI is coming for you and going to take your job.
Right? If it is not repetitive, then it's going to be very difficult to train a machine to generalize for just that randomness. Mm-hmm. So when we look at companies and work and the way people work, what are the things that are repetitive? That's going to go away. And that strongly impacts entry-level jobs.
Yeah.
Right? And it strongly impacts internships because that's all repetitive stuff. Go get me coffee, right?
Yeah.
But even as you go up the food chain, that still also impacts repetitive jobs because guess what? The CEO's got to do the earnings call this month. Yes. That's a repetitive task. He's got to stand up there and tell the world things are great even if they're not, right? So all these tasks are up for grabs. What will happen is one of two things. Okay. Either and both can happen. Progressive companies will say, okay, we need to give AI as many tasks as possible, then upskill our humans, get them doing the things that only
upscale our humans. If you're a leader in a business and you're wondering how you can use AI in your business, use AI for sure, but also help your employees leverage it and use it better in their roles, use it better in their businesses. Don't just wholesale rip out your employees. Help them leverage tools to be better people and to serve your company better.
Only humans can do, right? Relationship building, interaction, ideation with others, collaboration, right? Regressive companies will say, how much headcount can we fire as quickly as possible to cut budget and get to a higher level of profitability? And again, we're already seeing that. We just saw Google fired the agency that's been doing the search quality ratings guidelines for the last 17 years. Why? Because they have enough 17 years worth of data to continue to grow and get more skilled. The longest segment of income, because there's going to be a whole lot of people who do not have a role. Companies need to be thinking about leadership, right? Leadership is a problem because what happens when you get rid of most of your entry-level employees? You don't have your first-generation managers. In 10 years, you don't have your first-generation directors or VP. Shift down to a 3-day work week, right? What do we do to preserve the unique value of human beings? And what do we do with the enormous amount of structural unemployment we're going to have? Because here's the thing that if you look back in history, once unemployment that's structural rises 5 or 6%, you get guillotines and pitchforks and torches, right? Bad things happen once you get above a certain point.
Societal disorder.
We are fairly close to that. And aggressively chasing with a zealousness that is almost religious in nature. They want to be the first ones to build God. They want to be the first ones to build an art. What is that machine that has been trained on all of human history and all of knowledge? What does it think about us?
Wow, now we're getting into other things here about machines thinking, and I think Mr. Penn is giving us a lot to think about. This is Ramon Ray. This is The Rundown with Ramon. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, what do you think about AI? Are you using it in your business? How are you using it? Are you afraid of it? Or you're not using it? What do you think? I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And listen, as I always say on the show, I want you to go out and make a difference. Go out and tell somebody that you appreciate them. Go out and let somebody know that they can appreciate you. Make the world a better place because we need you. My name is Ramon Ray, publisher of ZoneOfGenius.com, and this is The Rundown with Ramon.